By this time tomorrow, you will be more than 1.5 million miles from where you are now, thanks to the orbiting of our Earth around the Sun. And we are rapidly approaching a point in our orbit that's called the Makahiki, the Hawaiian New Year. And as many of you know, the Hawaiian New Year happens the first new moon following the 17th of November. So you might be wondering, what's so important about the 17th of November? Not an equinox, it's not a solstice. When you see why the Hawaiian New Year is what it is, you will also see what amazing space cadets the old Hawaiians were. In order to show you why the Makahiki takes place when it does, I need help from two people. I'm going to ask Suki, well actually would you mind, I need somebody with light clothing to represent the sun, and you have the lightest clothing that I can see. And you're comfortable in front of an audience. Suki's going to be the sun. Would you be the sun? Thank you. Okay, she can just stand right here. Thank you. Now she's nice and bright. She looks like the sun. And let me see. Now I also need somebody wearing something that makes you look like a cluster of stars. Anybody here looking like a cluster of stars? Besides me. Yeah, that's me. That's actually why I wore this. Oh, okay. You just got pointed to. You've got feathers and flowers. They're not exactly stars, but it's customary. Okay, so if Suki could just move over a little bit that way, because I need to, I'm going to have to, okay. And then, thank you, what is your name? Francis, okay. So Francis is going to be the Pleiades star cluster. The Pleiades star cluster is visible in the evenings now. It's rising a little bit after sunset. It's just a tiny, tiny little cluster in the eastern sky. It looks a little bit like a tennis racket or a baby rattle or whatever. It's also called the Seven Sisters, also called Subaru in Japanese. It's the logo on a Subaru car. Okay, so whether you call it the Subaru cluster or the Pleiades cluster or the Makahiki, which is the Hawaiian name, the point is it's in the eastern sky. And according to the ancient Hawaiian legends, according to the ancient Celtic legends, according to the ancient Japanese, Zuni, many, many, many cultures claim that the first people on Earth came here from the Pleiades. Okay? So in order to appreciate why the Makahiki happens when it does, I'm going to ask you guys just pretend for a moment, or maybe you don't have to pretend, maybe you already believe that your ancestors came here from the Pleiades. Okay? And by the way, this is a picture of the Pleiades on my shirt. And so I'm going to be the Earth, and this is our sun over here, and this is the Pleiades, the Makahiki, whatever, the Subaru, whatever you want to call it. And as the Earth, I orbit the sun. Okay, so I just orbit the sun, and so as I'm orbiting the sun, we don't really have a good orbit here. The room's not the right size. But keep in mind that what the astronomers call one orbit is what the rest of us call 1 year. Okay, so all Earth ever does is just keeps orbiting. Now, let me kind of call out some significant points in my orbit. This is November 17th. Okay, this is February 17th. This is May 17th. And this is August 17th. So do you notice anything about the November 17th point in the yearly orbit that looks significant? Yes, it's a whole different thing. Yeah? Okay, so you can see, now November 17th is a very interesting spot in the Earth's orbit, is it not? Especially if this is where you came from. Okay. Next step though. How in the hell do you determine that there's one day of the year when the Earth is closer to the Pleiades than it is at any other time of the year? Because it doesn't look any closer. I mean, it's so many light years away that whether you're on that side of the orbit or this, it doesn't look bigger or anything. How are you going to know, without any technology, that November 17th is the one day out of the whole 365 orbit when you're closer to home? How are you going to figure that out?
Lucky guess.
The earliest after sunset.
Okay, let me help. Some of you are starting to get it. Those of you who are not starting to get it, let me come over here to May 17th for just a moment, because sometimes if you take a whole other perspective, you can see things. Okay, so on May 7th, oh, and let me remind you, or ask you, what else is the Earth doing besides orbiting?
Spinning.
Spinning. Okay. Now I didn't actually spin when I was orbiting because I fall over if I do that. But you got to remember. Okay, 365 spins here. Okay. So because the Earth is constantly spinning, what happened? What do we see happening?
Pleiades goes behind the sun.
Day and night.
Day and night, yes. Because the Earth is spinning, we see the sun rising and setting. Because the Earth is spinning, we see stars rising and setting. Nothing's rising, nothing's setting. It's just the Earth keeps on spinning. Okay. But on May 17th, what do we notice about the position of the Pleiades in our sky with regard to the sun? When do you suppose the Pleiades is rising and setting on May 17th? Yeah, on May 17th, the Pleiades is rising and setting at the same time as the sun, right? They're together, yeah, from this perspective, yeah. So on May 17th, the Pleiades rising and setting at the same time as the sun. You going to see the Pleiades then? No, you're so blinded by the sun, yeah, and it's up in the daytime. Okay, but there's this one point over here, November 17th, where what do we see happening?
You can see them all night long.
Yes, it's the only time of the year that the Pleiades are visible all night long. The Pleiades are coming up in the east at the same time the sun's going down in the west. Okay? There's no other time of the year when the sun is setting at the same time that the Pleiades is rising. No other time of the year when the Pleiades is rising is setting, pardon me, when the sun is rising. So if this is where your ancestors come from, if this is home, this is the one time of the year when you got a straight shot home. You got all night long. Hello! And when you can reconnect with your origins, when you reconnect with where you came from, you renew, you recycle, you refresh, you recharge your batteries. You're really new. It's not just about getting drunk one night and putting a new calendar on the wall the next day. It's a real renewal. So anyway, happy Hawaii New Year.